Let's actually go across now to some of our reporters who are on the ground, who are covering, in a sense, both these stories, both these unfolding stories, both the election results, the counting, which is going to start very shortly, and, of course, the unfolding coronavirus problem. And my colleague Saurabh Gupta is joining me from Kolkata. He's, I believe, at Ballygunge, at a counting center there. Saurabh, so, I mean, obviously, counting yet to start, but Saurabh, it's interesting, or worrying rather, that we've actually seen the coronavirus spike during the course of this West Bengal campaign. It's actually running fairly amok now. And West Bengal now, Kolkata, is actually now finally starting to enforce lockdowns and restrictions to try and get things under control.
Absolutely, Vasu. It's been shocking that, elections have gone on, political parties have gone on, business as usual during the pandemic. But at the counting center, there are certainly winds of change. And winds of change meaning that there are people who are constantly making announcements. There is an effort to maintain social distancing. Political workers are coming in. They're being told that their masks will not only they have to wear masks, but they'll have to wear it properly. You can see this gentleman, here with the microphone announcing, telling people that nobody will be announced. In fact, right now what you see is a policeman sort of having an argument with someone who wants to go into the center and is not wearing a mask, and he's been told to wear a mask and he's finally put it on. And these are images that we will see from across West Bengal, but the question really is it too late? Vaccinations have not started for 18 to 44 age group here, and that is something that's also going to be a question, because we don't have enough vaccines. We've had a full-blown election, massive super spreader rallies, and every political party has been guilty of that. So there is, of course, that question. And the Madras High Court's observations on the Election Commission, which it now has moved Supreme Court against, I believe, of, whether what was the Election Commission doing? Those questions still remain, because West Bengal has seen a spike during these elections. There have been super spreader events. And finally, counting day has arrived. Yes, people will know which government they chose. But elections in the middle of a pandemic, super spreader events, is something that everyone would agree is quite unfortunate.
Right. In fact, Monudeepa, if I can go across to you now, you of course have been covering this West Bengal elections now for over 2 decades. But this was an election like no other. Of course, there was the political symbolism of Mamata Banerjee, the opposition's almost lone horse versus Prime Minister Modi. But we saw this also unravel as this election continued, as we saw more cases rising, the worry that both the central and the state government had taken their eye off the ball with their focus on campaigning as usual, where the virus knew no such boundaries or waiting for election phases to get over. What has it been like for you covering this election, and also reporting the tragic story of candidates? Because remember, it's candidates who are out there the most. They couldn't wear masks as they were mingling with voters and crowded rallies, who died as well. A candidate's wife has asked that the election commissioner, deputy election commissioner, be tried for murder.
Yes, indeed. In fact, such is the tragedy of elections in the times of the pandemic, that instead of 294 seats, we are voting this time round in 292. 2 candidates died before elections could be held. This was in Murshidabad. And then an independent candidate, just 42 years old, he too died before elections could be held. And finally, there was one candidate, Kajal Sinha. He went and got COVID around the 16th of April, we believe. He polled at the Khorda seat on the 22nd of April, and then he died of COVID on the 25th, and the grief-stricken family then went to the police and filed a complaint saying that the Election Commission, and they named the commissioners, the Election Commission must be held responsible for this culpable homicide of Kajal Sinha. So yes, indeed, heavy price being paid by candidates, by polling officials, by candidates who are, unwell because of COVID and still in hospital. I mean, there are many in hospital still. So huge price being paid, and 292 seats, that's what we'll be counting today instead of 294. So 2 seats without elections because the people there have died. Completely tragic, but it is also, as you mentioned, one election that is going to decide a lot of things. The Trinamool, Mamata Banerjee Supremo, has said that this is an election that the whole country is watching because it could decide the fate of, or the direction of politics in the country in the coming years. And for the BJP, Bengal, certainly one of the key final frontiers that they want to crack, they want to break into that West Bengal that they have been trying for so long.